So I just wanted to do some introductions, just so our participants can know who everybody is. So myself, I'm really excited and honored to be part of the Kinder Leads Festival that we've been running since Sunday. And our day today is all about kinder relationships. So my organization, Hope Bereavement Support, have been running a project that we started a few months back on BAME health inequalities. And I thought that really fitted in well, especially with that throughout pandemic, in terms of how the health inequalities that we already had within our BAME communities has only been further exacerbated and brought to the forefront, if you like, including Black Lives Matters. There's other movements that have come about that have always been there, but it's become more highlighted. So I wanted to bring that in to the event to talk about how we can make that into more kinder relationships and reduce those relational inequalities, if you like. The mission of today's event also is intended for the purpose to also announce that Hope Bereavement Support Community Interest Company was successful with the Racial Injustice Fund. So we have been funded to do our project for more structural work. So I'm hoping with all the different diverse groups that we have participating today from different communities and groups, we'll be able to hopefully come forward and reach out to Hope Bereavement Support, myself, and register to work with us, to partner up with us to deliver some of this project work. If you want further information, I would welcome you to do that as well, so we can get in touch with you more and give you more information, have one-to-one if you want for more details. So we can give you information on that. If you remember the welcome email you received from me, it will have our websites on there. You can even contact Kinder Leads and they'll be able to direct the information or the query to me as well. So without further ado, I just want to quickly go over some of the things I already sent out again previously on an email to prepare for today, in terms of how this space is aimed to be a safe space where we can share our learning and our views respectfully in an open and kind way to each other. So today it's about remaining and focused on kindness to one another. And also to remember that this is a public broadcast, and Angela, sorry, is going to be recording. As you can see, little red dots that's come up. And that's because, as we've already put on our websites and everything you've seen, that it is a public broadcast. And so everything's been recorded. So just to be mindful of that as well. So we have panel members for our session today. But before that, I just want to introduce some other members that are here that are supporting me, that are part of my colleagues from Kinder Leads team. So I'm going to hand over to Angela Green first.
Yeah, hello everybody. Yeah, thank you, Ansa. And yeah, I'm Angela Green, and I'm your host from a technical Zoom point of view today. And my role is to help make this space as kind of comfortable as possible for people, and I'm letting people in, and I'm going to do some of the other technical bits of putting people into breakout rooms for further discussions, etc. So yeah, good to be on this call. I'm one of the original co-founders of the Kindness Revolution at Kinder Leads, and it's wonderful to have Ansa on board as part of that team, but also it's wonderful to be part of this call actually as well as a human being. And in the world that we live in at the moment, and never has anything been more so there on the forefront of you know, talking about BAME inequalities at a time right now during COVID. So yeah, just briefly mention that in the background you might notice one of the participants with a lovely pink heart Kinder Leads. That is a lady called Katrina, who's basically just sitting there in the background from a technical point of view to support the hosting side of this. So if anything goes wrong with my internet, for example, the call can continue. So Katrina's not participating as a participant, but she's there if I need or we need to call on her to take over the call for any reason. So just wanted to introduce that. Yeah, and just wanted to mention that, you know, please feel free to choose whether you have your, you know, video recording on or not, but we will be posting this up on our website at kinderleads.org to share, and hopefully it'll be the start of further conversation, further events, and Ansa will explain that as we go through. So yeah, thank you very much, and that's me. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. And a big shout out to Katrina. Thank you for being backup technical support. I always joke and say I'm a very technical dinosaur, so I really appreciate my team supporting me in this way today. So next I'd like to welcome Claude to introduce himself. Claude is one of our panel members and he's from the Leeds Men's Health and Wellbeing Network. Over to you, Claude.
Hi, good afternoon, all of you. My name is Claude Hendrickson. I'm based at the Leeds West Indian Centre Charitable Trust. I'm the chair of Leeds Men's Health and Wellbeing Network, and definitely in light of COVID and all the stuff around Black Lives Matters, Black BAME men are, facing lots of inequalities, but we're also looking at men across the board, because when it comes to health, men are like ostriches. I've got their head stuck in the sand. So we're a discussion group. We're looking for funding. We've been going for about 14 years. And it's really a platform where men can come and discuss issues around all aspects of health. So we meet. We haven't met for a little while because of COVID, but we're in the process of putting in some applications to get some more funds, because even coming out of COVID, I think there's not a lot of discussion around men and the impact it's going to have on them. Them being kind of big breadwinners within the household, if they lose their jobs, mental health, all the other issues, looking after the family or being, the head of the family. So yeah, thank you for the invitation, Ansa, and I'm looking forward.
No, I appreciate it, Claude. Thank you. Really, really honoured that you'll be able to join and become and say yes to being a panel member. And just to announce to everybody that me and Claude are working in partnership on this BAME project. And Claude has been there with us from the start. So his organisation and mine together are partnered up already. So we're looking for more partners, as I said at the beginning. So hopefully that will grow. Thank you, Claude. With that, I'd like to go on to our next panel member, which is Saeed Ahmed, representing Leeds and York Partnership Foundation Trust, the NHS.
Good afternoon, everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you ever so much for inviting me as a panel member onto this wonderful webinar, and hopefully I will be able to explain to you my role in a very brief summary. I am the patient experience lead for the trust, and I've been in post for nearly 3 years. I've worked with some of you in terms of looking at health and well-being, and especially health inequality. So I think this is an appropriate time to actually discuss kindness and health inequalities, and hopefully I'm looking forward to this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Saeed. Now we do have another panel member from the BME Hub in Leeds, who I believe is delayed in coming online. So what I'm going to ask that we do in the meantime is that I remember if I sent the email out, you will have had the question that was sent out. If you check the chat on this webinar, I've also posted the question in there, just to make it easier for you to see and just give a reminder, if you like. So the question that we want to explore in today's webinar was, what steps should or could be taken to help minimize the BAME health inequalities moving forward? So we want to explore that and understand what it means to us and what would it look like in terms of kind of relationships. How do we show that kindness towards looking at something so huge as this? And I thought that would be something we could explore in the breakout rooms. So what I'm going to ask now is that we're going to go into breakout rooms for about, I think, 7 minutes. Should be okay. And before we do that, anybody got any questions? No, it should be fine. It should be fine.
Can you say the question again, please, Ansa?
Yes, it's what steps should or could be taken to help minimize the BNME health inequalities moving forward?
Thank you.
It's on the chat as well, so you should be able to, if you click onto the chat, see the question in there. I thought that would be easier than asking you to look at the email or search for the email again.
Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome back.
Hi.
Welcome back to the main room again. Yeah. So the technicalities of us breaking out into breakout rooms is always a bit of a challenge. And I think what happened, there was a couple of people didn't join rooms. So when I paired you up, there were some people on their own for a little while. I hoped I was able to put you in a room with other people at some point. So yeah, I think we're nearly all back in the room now.
Yes, that was quite traumatic, can I say?
Oh.
I fell off the screen. I couldn't find myself, and I don't know if anybody else struggled, but really struggled with that. I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody who's had a similar experience with the technical issues that I experienced just now. I thought, oh no, I've lost the screen. Don't know where it's gone. But yeah, I think
it does just take a few seconds for, you know, to transfer you into that room, and then until somebody joins you, it feels like you're alone. But when I paired you up, not everybody, you know, chose to go into the room, so that ended up a technical difficulty in that fact. So, but never mind.
No.
I'm, you know, really interested as host. I wasn't involved in that, so were you able to have any conversations in those breakout rooms? Yeah. So
brilliant.
That's good.
That's brilliant. So without further ado, I think I'm conscious of the time as well.
Sure.
I'd like to now open up the floor to our participants. And there were some really good points that were made. In our room in particular, there was about, Hazel mentioned something about kind of language, which I thought really was the key here, about the language we use in how we're speaking to one another and trying to approach different communities that are hard to reach, for example, and how do we communicate with each other. Zara and myself were talking also about actually challenging any stereotypical or labeling behavior that's prejudicial, you know, to try and nip that in the bud and what that would look like. So I'm going to ask people now to either raise your hands, and my lovely colleagues will help me by letting me know. I think I can see it on my screen as well, can't I, if the hand goes up? So who would like to go first and share your thoughts on what we just discussed? Anybody? Any takers? I can see, Claude, are you wanting to speak?
Who, me? Okay.
You can mute yourself.
Everybody's quiet. Yeah, me and Amy had a really good discussion, even though Amy is in a situation where she doesn't come into much contact with BAME people, but you know, she has a positive view and very interested in learning, so she can be inclusive in her work going forward. But yeah, what we were discussing were, sometimes with BAME, it's given that all of the BAME communities need the same support, and it's not necessarily true. You know, the Pakistanis might have different issues to the African Caribbeans, who might have different issues to another ethnic group. We discussed about narrowing the gap between communities and equity, not just equality, but equity. And that is about ensuring that resources go, you know, with the issues, that we get the right resources to the right communities. And we also discussed that the equity argument, and that what we want to do as BAME people, we need to be in the lead. We don't need to be pulled along. You know, what there's been a lot of research done over the years that shows, we used an example like when they wanted to address inequalities with gender inequalities, what they've done is they've empowered females to be in the roles so that they could be discussing with other females the gender issues. So it's important that you put the right people, or get the right people into the roles and support them. because we know in principle, institutionally, the inequalities are there. And the only way really is to change that is by empowering the right people. And I'm not just saying because somebody's black and ethnic minority, they're the right person, but we do need to be supporting the minorities and showing them in leadership roles as opposed to following roles or lower management roles.
No, I agree. That's really good points there, Claude. I think it is about, and I think that's always been mine and Claude's and other people here as well. In fact, Said's been here involved from the beginning as well in helping us put this project together. Annette, who's not on this call today, who unfortunately has had another meeting for the BAME Hub rep. I've had the messages as well saying that Tessa was going to come in, has not been able to come. There's a lot of movement happening within Leeds now around this, and how can we work together? And the ideal has always been, let's work from a grassroots towards upwards, you know, not the other way around, because that's how it's been forever. We've always been told what to do or how to do things. And we've been told that we need this information from you and how we need that information from you. How about inviting us to the table and let's all work together, you know, as a collaborative. And I'm a big believer in working co-productively, you know, having that fairness and having that respect all round. And I always say love to mankind, you know, I always say that it should be about that kindness that should be always shared at every level to achieve a positive outcome, hopefully. And it's not something that's going to be small or done, achieved really quickly. This is long-term. This is long-term work. This is years, hundreds and hundreds of years of prejudice, stereotype that we've had to deal with. And it's still there. And it's going to take maybe longer to get through it all, you know. Who else would like to, I would like to open the floor up to somebody else who would like to come in, share their thoughts on what's been shared today. Any comments or suggestions or any thoughts even, just some, I guess I'm curious to hear from people.
Yeah, can I just, I'd like to add what you just said, Ansa, and also what the other speaker said. You know, I'm going back to one of the incidents that happened in the Prophet's time when, you know, Bilal, who was African Ethiopian, and there was some incident, and then one of the companions of the Prophet said to him, your mother is black. And the Prophet, hearing that, he said, you still have ignorance in you. So I think this is a case of when people have ignorance in them, they fear things unnecessarily. So ignorance causes fear, and fear brings in prejudice. So as you can see, this pandemic, the lockdown, there was a lot of things that have been said about Muslims, kind of Muslims are bringing it on and Muslims are causing them the COVID and so on. Again, it's like not knowing the true facts about COVID-19, how it happens, how it goes about, how it spreads. And you don't understand the Muslims, you don't understand what others are like other than you. And that causes that ignorance. And so I think it's that education, learning about one another and mixing with one another, mingling with one another, learning from one another is the way, for me, I feel is the way forward. Because previously it's always been like conquer and rule. And that's where conquer and rule, and that's where the division and the conflict and so on that has happened. Not enough mixing has happened, not enough mingling, not enough learning from one another has taken place.
Not enough kindness.
Yeah. Compassion, yeah. So when you have to learn from somebody, you have to, a teacher has to be merciful to his students. The one who is learning from the person has to show respect. And above and all that we have got is that compassion and mercy.
Thank you for
overriding
that.
The facts. Kindness comes in within the compassion and mercy.
Definitely. Thank you for that. And a really apt quote that you gave there as well, and a reminder of a really prominent story in the Muslim world of how our dear Hazrat Bilal was a black man, a companion, very dear companion and respected companion of our Prophet. I'm just going to go over to Hazel, who's unmuted herself.
Ansa,
Sorry. Yes, Cal.
Ansa, Hazel's been waiting for a little while.
Yes.
No,
I've
that's
just
okay.
said.
I couldn't see her. Thank you. Because the lady before has really brought it up for me, this conquer and rule societies that we're from a colonial situation we've been in. I'm a South African. I'm a mixed race South African. And so I come from apartheid, and I had to found Ubuntu. And Ubuntu, as we know, or is a person because of other people. And therefore, how can we be with other people, with others, and really look with a soft gaze at one another and see each one's beauty? And this, to me, is Ubuntu. And this is why I wanted to see what you were doing in Leeds. And I am so thrilled what you're doing. That you've opened it up to a bigger conversation with so many different people. I am so pleased to be here because I've been working with simply a Black group of women. And it's lovely that, but I want this kind of South African mixture, the rainbow. We are a rainbow in the world, you know, in here. And it's terribly important that I am able to be with other people other than who look like me, do you know? So, and to share each other's beauty. So that's where I am.
Thank you so much, Hazel. Thank you. I just want to capture that word again. What was the word you used? Ubuntu.
Ubuntu, U-B-U-N-T-U. And I'd like to just share this, that Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela have used it. It's a philosophy of South African philosophy, or African philosophy, which says a person is a person because of other people. And therefore we are part of one another. Yeah. And the more we are part of one another, the more understanding and the beauty we can actually appropriate. Because it's an appropriate of kindness that I see in what you're doing in Leeds.
Thank you.
It speaks to me of Ubuntu.
I love that. I never knew that word before until today. So I'm so pleased you've joined today. Really am. And I've learned something new today that I will cherish. I really will cherish that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the Ubuntu is something like I am because we are, you know, basically it recognizes that I'm not me without the we. And that it's only together that we really kind of exist on this planet. I mean, we're in a whole relationship with the planet, but we're as a human race, we're in relationship with everybody on our planet, you know, in ways we don't understand to a certain degree, but you know, we and yet we have this.
I think this is what you know, exactly what you're saying, Angela, the need to understand that we can't do this alone because we are human. And
I'm just gonna bring in Saeed. I can see Saeed's hand has gone up as well, and I'm conscious of our time as well. So thank you so much, Hazel. Over to you, Saeed, please.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just going to keep it short. I think for me, what I'm going to focus in on is the M word. Yeah. So those that believe, right, in messengers, in prophets, we've also had wonderful individuals that have spread kindness, and you've mentioned Mandela, Mary Seacole, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. I can go on and on and on. But we ourselves are messengers of kindness, and that's what I want to kind of relay over, that each and every single one of us has got a heart, which everybody has actually put on the chart. We have got elements of kindness, and they manifest themselves in different ways. So, for example, they may manifest themselves in terms of how generous we are, how friendly we are, how considerable we are, how caring we are, how gentle we are. So there's all kinds of different manifestations under the umbrella of kindness. And if we look back and then we go forward to the messengers, to those individuals that are no longer with us, they use kindness to bring humanity together.
Yes.
Yeah? And for me, we shouldn't lose what we had, but what we should do ourselves is carry on what we say jihad, is struggle and strive to make sure that kindness is within everything and within our DNA. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Saeed. And I think that really does wrap up exactly what we've all been hopefully experiencing and sharing here today, that it is all about all of us connecting from a place of kindness. And I think when I put the question out there, I remember at the beginning when I was doing this with Angela, and I said, what am I going to put for the title? What am I going to put this together? And Saeed and Claude have worked with me before, and I've got other people on here who know of me, who've known of each other. And the thing is, like, for me, I work backwards, and I was thinking, well, the goal is to come together, to connect with people. So how do we do that? I know it takes a lot of kindness and connection, but you have to have that safe space. And what better platform than Kind of Leads Festival to launch that, to be able to come together here today and share that we all have one aim in purpose to do that. Yes, Claude.
Yeah, I think kindness. I think kindness, yes. Kindness is a nice word, but can be forgotten very quickly. I think we accept that ignorance fuels racism. You know, ignorance is, you know, what we need is, it's a bit like what Amy said. We need people to be willing to ask questions and find out more about people and not feel threatened in asking that question. You know, we need people to, because I look back on contribution. The contribution, you know, over this COVID, you only need to look at the contribution that BAME ethnic minorities have brought to the UK in over the last half of a century. You know, people in the NHS, people coming from different countries and coming to Britain with a positive attribute. You know, they come to Britain with hope and ambitions and to contribute, only to find they've hit a barrage of or a wall of racism, which actually is ignorance. Because if you look at a lot of the reports that have come out of Black Lives Matters in the UK, if you look at a lot of the stories that have been on the TV around NHS, around how minorities have helped build Britain to where it is, and then start, you know, and they're the things we need to be sharing, that everybody, it's not just about kindness, it's about respect and empathy and respecting each other. And that's not kindness, that's respect. Yes. You know, we need to respect, just like men have to respect women, you know, it's the same. There needs to be a sense of respect and an understanding that we're all into this together, but we can actually help solve our own problems and at the same time use some of our good practice to help you solve some of the issues that you have. And sometimes we talk about funding, and the table seems full of funding, but the BAME groups are at the end of the table and they don't seem to be able to access their fair share of funding so that they can deliver to their communities. And at the same time, we as Black and ethnic minorities, we never close our doors to any other group. So it doesn't make a difference, even if we're looking at men's health and Black men's health. We've had some Black men's health events, and Indigenous white men have turned up at them events. We don't turn them away. We invite them in. We invite them in and let them benefit, because what they then find out, they get to try some different food. They get to speak to some people they've never spoken to before. So for me, yes, it is about kindness, but it's about mutual respect. Human beings respecting other human beings regardless. It's not about kindness. It's about open respect. Yes. And if we start from, we will have differences, just like the indigenous people, different people have got different color hair. You know, one of the first things I had to learn as a child being born here of that first generation of Windrush children was that I had to learn the difference between Irish people, Welsh people, Scottish people, and English people. I had to learn that because everybody wants to respect their own identity, you know. So the lady from South Africa wants to be proud that she's from South Africa, you know, and she wants to be proud of her dual heritage. So she wants to be a proud woman. And it's the same, you know, and sometimes I feel within the UK, indigenous people don't ask the question, you know, they just assume, oh, you're all part of the migrant community. They don't ask, well, which part of the world are you from? You know, they just make assumptions, and we have a lot of assumptions. I think it was something that Amy said within our breakout. There's a lot of assumptions being made by people. And if you start from respecting each other, just like we are in this meeting, respect, that's a fundamental. Kindness is a funny word for me. You know, respect is a better word for me.
But do you know what it is, Claude? If I may, I'd like to add that kindness becomes a funny word, especially when you've not experienced much of it. When you're going through those, and I hear that, and I empathize with that. It's not easy, and that's why it doesn't sit well. And I just, and I'm conscious of the time. No, thank you so much for that, Claude. It was really insightful, and I think there is, you know, coming back to the question in terms of BAME health, you know, and relational inequalities. How do we beat that? It's about, having that respect, having those spaces, and I can see some questions have been posted in terms of how do we create those spaces. You know, how do we make it more safer? This is where we all need to work together as partners, and let's come together. Let's share those good practices and ideas. Let's work together in taking those steps and helping one another. And it shouldn't just be the BME or the Black community helping the Black community. It should be about everybody coming together, every color, as Hazel said, like a rainbow. You know, all of us have our own identities, have our own special skill set and experiences, and our life experiences make us special. Each and every one of you here today are unique, special. I want you to all hear that, and I hold that very dear in terms of everybody has that uniqueness that they can imprint on whichever they choose to. So there is some feedback we're asking you to give as well. If you look at your chat, there will be a link there that you can click on. What can also happen is if when the meeting ends, a pop-up box will happen, and that will take you to the feedback surveys and we're really appreciative of any feedback we can get, because that will help us in our future events, because this is the first of many, hopefully, to come. This event is going to continue. This topic is going to be on the next year's festival as well, to give an update, and hopefully with our new partners that come on board, we'll have more panel members to be able to update on what we've achieved so far, where we started from, where we've got to keep that. I think this is something that needs to be kept on the forefront of the agenda. If we really want to show that kindness, then we need to give its worth. We need to put value to this and keep it on top of the agenda, not just let's talk about it now and forget about it, you know, or do a little bit here and that's enough. This is something that I believe will go from a local to a regional and eventually a national level. That's the aim here. My organization works on a national level. So where Hope Brings Support offer free counselling nationally. So we've got a team of counsellor psychotherapists nationally. Claude and myself are both Leeds-based organisations, and we are very passionate about starting it locally from here. Kinda Leeds is a Leeds-based organisation for network and well-being and the Kind Revolution. You know, we are really pulling forward. I'm really proud and happy of being a Leeds girl, I suppose, because we've done so much, we've achieved so much. And this is only the start. And I feel other people out there in different parts. I know, Hazel, you said you're from London. There are other people here from other parts of Yorkshire that would be more than keen to hopefully get involved. So just before we finish, I'd like to ask if anybody's got any last comments they'd like to make. I'd like to come back to the panel members. I know we've heard loads from you, Claude, but if you'd like to say something to finish, and Saeed as well, please.
Yeah, and for me, I like what Angela said. I like the kindness is love in action. That's a good way of putting it. I like that. I like that. Kindness is love in action. Yeah. What I'd say is, on a leaving note, is that, you know, they need to put money where their mouth is. You know, they need to empower disadvantaged communities who BAME are part of that disadvantaged communities. And I accept within society we have disadvantaged white communities that live in and around BAME communities, but they need to be putting some funding and some resources where the mouth is. And my last point would be, over the decades, there's been a lot of good research done, you know, and we should be using some of that research to move forward. So I think my point is, let's stay positive, let's stick together, and let's use kindness and love to make things different.
Thank you, Claude. Thank you. Saeed?
Yeah, thank you. The NHS, in particular, the nursing staff go through the 6 C's. So the 6 C's are, I think the definition for the NHS is about caring. Caring is our core business, and this is what our organisation delivers to individuals. There's also another C called compassion, empathy and respect. And within that comes dignity, which Claude mentioned as well. There's courage and in doing the right things, being mindful of individuals, but having that kindness and caring attitude within an NHS health setting. I think what I want to end this note on is around looking at everybody and taking our blinkers off. We're all human beings, yeah, and color of hair, the socks that you wear, maybe pink, the things that we do, the things that people do. A lot of people are judgmental, and we need to be, you know, non-judgmental in our approach as human beings. That's the only way that we, as a society, will grow, and the younger generation will learn that this particular generation has dignity, respect, and kindness into everything that we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Saeed. What a lovely way of ending this, that we, you know, have had many generations, and it's about carrying on that positiveness and that kindness going forward. And I think that was one of our ethos, Angela, when we started off with the kindness revolution, that we're going to change it, not just locally, but take it nationally to the world, you know. Hopefully, why not? You know, I think there's enough warriors out there who will stand side by side and say kindness prevails everything, and one step at a time, as they say. So I would like to finally just end with this by saying, please do fill in the forms that are being sent in the chat for the feedback, but also please reach out to Hope Bereavement Support if you'd like to partner up and work with us. I'd be very keen to hear from other people. If you think other partners that you're aware of that might be beneficial or might be interested in working on this project with us, please do share my website. That was on the welcome page. If not, the Kinder Leads as well, they'll refer it into us as well. They're directed to us. And we do have, as Angela rightly has mentioned, there's kindness listening spaces that we run as well, that are on the festival. You can see them on there. And they're a really good space to be able to come along and feel held, you know, and share, feel that kindness and that love that we all really yearn, don't we? Especially since we've been isolating for so many months and not had any contact. I think this is a very how can I say, a very surreal time. You know, we're disconnected. We're all connecting virtually. And we've been doing that for so many months. You know, I don't know how everybody else feels, but us humans are definitely created to have that human contact, to have that skin to skin, the body language, not just the tone and the voice, the words, but that is all part of how we feel held, how we feel safe, how we feel loved, and how we feel the kindness. So, you know, it's even more important to hold on to that in our awareness when we are communicating with each other. So thank you very much to everybody. Sending love to everybody. Have a peaceful, blessed week ahead of you. Thank you so much. Much appreciated for your support in attending today. To my panelists, Claude and Saeed, thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. I really much appreciate it, because I know you're very busy men, and I so appreciate and feel honored that you both were able to attend today. And to everybody else, thank you.
Thank you, Ansa, for facilitating so beautifully and kindly as well. And I hope to see meet some of you again in different spaces. But yeah, lovely. Thank you for everyone for sharing so kindly and you know, bravely as well. You know, there's an element of courage, you know, in coming on calls and being human and ourselves. And yeah, thank you everybody.
Okay. Goodbye everyone.